Thanks to Mr. Ebert and all the partners of the Creative Flip project. But what is Creative Flip? So I think we will finally answer this question to those of you who are maybe not as familiar with what we do in Creative Flip as maybe some of the others. And it's my pleasure to share the stage with my dear colleague, Vassilis Charalampidis, who is the president of the European Creative Hubs Network. So between the two of us, we will try to explain a little bit what the Creative Flip project is all about, and maybe a little bit of the history, what we've been doing so far, and what we plan to do in the coming period. So we prepared a small presentation for you, and I'm just wondering if we can have it on the screen. So I think I can already start where the presentation comes. The Creative Flip project has 5 partners, the Goethe-Institut, European Creative Hubs Network, but also our partners IDEA Consult, 3S Unternehmensberatung, and Intellectual Property Institute from Luxembourg. And we've been implementing the project since 2019. It first started off as a pilot project to European Parliament, and we've closed this first phase this summer, and now we've continued our work as the preparatory action. I think now I would really like to have the presentation, if we can. Click. Ah, so it was all my fault. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so as we said, you already have it here on the screen. We've moved on from the first phase now to the next. And of course, the objective remains more or less the same, to really support a strong and resilient cultural creative ecosystem. And we specifically focus on 4 areas of finance, learning, skills, innovation, and intellectual property rights. So I think you've also received at the entrance one of our small booklets. This is an impact story from the first phase of our project, which really gives kind of a summary of the main outputs and outcomes of the last 2.5 years. In this first project, we've also dealt with the 4 topics. Instead of the intellectual property rights, we only had specific focus on patenting. But we've also done lots of different activities. So you've already heard a little bit about the Creatives Unite platform, and you'll hear more from my colleague Vassilis. But we've also implemented interesting real-life things, such as peer-to-peer exchanges between creative hubs, such as cooperation projects between creative hubs and educational institutions, which all had really wonderful results. And I think also at the entrance you were able to receive the 2 brochures or tools, which were the outcomes of these activities. And for the audience watching us online, we invite you to visit the Creative Flip website, where you have all the publications. Another example of an output that we produced in the first part of the project was the So You Need Money guide, which was kind of a hard copy first part of our work on this topic of how to improve the financial literacy of the sector, but also how to get the sector maybe to broaden their views in terms of what are the funding and financing opportunities out there, and how to actually mix them better, as Pierre also mentioned, to change their business plan to adapt to the current situation. And this guide is in a way a basis for the tool we are developing and that we will present later today. So we had also 4 big international conferences. This is the one that was mentioned here at La Vallée. There are also conference conclusions that came out, which are also available on our website and still very much valid today. We had really intense discussions in small groups, and that's what we hope to replicate today. So we really look forward to the parallel sessions this afternoon, where we'll be able to discuss in small World Café tables on different topics. And this is one of our favorite photos. We had to make people go out to the art to take it together. Today we'll only make you go into the atrium later on, so this is just a fair warning. But it's really a wonderful memory from the event, smiling faces and everyone being present there. And of course, then Corona hit after that conference, and we were not able to meet each other in person anymore. And in response to the situation and the crisis, the Creative Flip, in cooperation with the European Commission, came up with the Creatives Unite platform. The goal of the platform was to gather in one place all initiatives related to the pandemic for and by the cultural creative sector. And we had a large online conference at the time to mark its launch and to show some already first really good examples of the initiatives where people were able to quickly adapt and have some really inspiring examples of how to cope with the crisis. And as I said, so in June last year, we had the final closing conference of the first part of our project, which was held also online, given the circumstances at the time. And we were able then to present all our main findings. So this is again the same publication, and it's really hard to name all the different outputs we've had. But for instance, some of those which are maybe not less familiar is that we have a huge, thanks to our partners from IPIL, report about everything you need to know about patenting in the cultural creative sector, the examples, the analysis of all the data for the past years in terms of the good examples and so on. We're also working on skills, for instance, on ESCO as one of the tools provided by the European Commission to see how it can be better used by the cultural creative sector, especially in terms of labor market demand and so on. So now we're at the new phase of Creative Flip, and this is what we're doing today. As we've said, we still have the four main pillars, and in a way they all work towards, in one way, the Creatives Unite platform, which is now growing in terms of different tools that would be implemented and the scope of the platform, but also, as we said, the topics of the resilience of the CCS ecosystem. So we will be working on improving this ecosystem through different things. So one way is, for instance, improving access to finance, helping the CCI find the right opportunities for them in terms of different financing mix and improving their financial literacy, also improving their knowledge and capacity building in terms of intellectual property rights, because this was one of the findings from our first project, that unfortunately there is just simply not enough knowledge in the sector still about the available IP tools. Then, as we said, we're working further on ESCO, and for instance, in your packs here you have a small flyer regarding a survey we are currently conducting in terms of how the sector is potentially using ESCO as a tool and how it can be further improved to support in writing job openings or CVs, or in general later on with a wider application also for EU forecasting tools. Today we'll be also discussing the status and working conditions of CCS professionals, but also mobility, peer learning. This is something that is also part of the project, which will be then announced at a later stage, again with creative hubs and more long-term cooperation. And finally, of course, the recognition of the role and importance of the culture creative sector for cross-sectoral cooperation, how we can ensure that the voices are heard and the CCS actors are really integral part of future positive transformations of our societies. But my colleagues who are experts in this topic will discuss this later and give you much more detail into all of these topics that Creative Flip is doing throughout. So now I give the word to my colleague Vassilis. He will talk about Creatives Unite.
I have my own microphone, so thank you. Very nice to be here today again with so many people. Yes, so we've talked a lot about Creatives Unite, so I won't go through the past and what we've been doing up to now, but I want to take you through a bit about the future. So, as you already know, Creatives Unite quickly became a one-stop destination for all the initiatives relating to our sectors. And that was really overwhelming and successful, particularly the first days of the pandemic. But also today, I mean, that we've broadened the scope of the content, and we're really happy about it. And we see that our culture and creative sectors are so active. And so within the framework of this new program, this extension of our program, we want to start working, and we are currently actually developing the second phase of the platform. And the idea behind the second phase of the platform is that we will be able to extend its capacities to host content. We're also, of course, doing some fancy stuff like revamping the looks and feel. Here you can have a sneak peek of how it will look like. But the most important bits are that we're adding up a lot of more editorial content, which is really, really important for us. And also we are kind of realized that we will always have urgencies and that our sectors are responsive. We are responding in everything that's happening around us, like today in this devastating situation with the war, and we want to document all the responses. So right now we started working, gathering all the initiatives for the Ukraine war and everything that's been done. There are so many things happening across Europe, and we're really happy about it. And it's available in the old format of the platform today, but also soon and gradually we will start deploying also the new infrastructure. The new infrastructure will be able also to host other tools that are being created from other organizations, but we are also will be hosting two main tools that we are currently developing and are deriving from our past experience the last years. So we are currently developing a tailored platform that will work also complementary with the Create.eu platform that gives you access to EU funding programs, but this will complement and give you all the extra information that you might need for local, regional actions and specific programs that are currently active, and will have also a tailored functionality. So we're really working hardly to develop something that would give you personalized information about your funding needs, about the funding profile that you need to build, the knowledge that you need to have access to different funding schemes, but also the specific programs and providers, which are really, really important. And we're really happy. Here you can have a sneak peek of how it will look like. But throughout the day, there is a booth. If any one of you wants to test it, it's a beta version, and we would love to have the feedback, your feedback about this platform. We are really happy about this development. The colleagues from IDEA Consult have been doing amazingly research job, and we're really proud about what they've been delivering. And we will deploy this later in the year. We are also developing a one-stop application for all available resources for intellectual property. And this is something that came up, as already Dubravka said, from our previous work, and I think it's going to be really, really useful for creative people. And the microphone is not, okay, no, it was the microphone itself, yeah. Sorry for the bad sound. Yes, and this is going to be the IP rights application. It's still under development, so this is a beta version. You don't see the final design, but we're again proud because we are collecting so many initiatives and so many tools that will facilitate all kind of cultural and creative professional needs to secure their work. But the most important bit for the new Creatives Unite platform is that we foresee that this will become a one-stop destination for everything around our sectors, and we feel that this is something that is missing. So we are developing an infrastructure that will be able even to accumulate more initiatives and more tools from our ecosystem. And that's really, really important. For example, right now we are working with a sister project, which is the Makers Exchange program, and we will also planning to integrate a mobility mapping tool that you would have the ability to track all current mobility actions. And also, all those things, I mean, you will be able to build a personal profile, and you will be able to get notified every time that something of interest comes up, which we feel that's really important. You will be notified of anything of interest, of any deadline coming up, which is really, really important. But we plan also to use the infrastructure that we are creating behind, I mean, not for the end user, but for the scientific communities. So we're going to use the data collected from the everyday use to facilitate research. So all those profiles that will be integrated within this platform will be used for this kind of extensive need of survey analysis and identifying our sectors and our future needs. So that's briefly about what's coming up next for the Creators Unite platform. And back to Dubravka, maybe, to sum it up.
Is my microphone? Yes. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, of course, we are free during the breaks throughout the day. But I'm sure you will learn more from the colleagues and the speeches coming up and also from the parallel sessions.